I was over 500 pounds. Since August I'm down to under 400.
Did you know that Butterbean once accidentally knocked out a referee in the middle of a fight? From wild knockouts and reality TV fame to health battles and the long-term toll of boxing, former boxer Butterbean is in critical condition at 58 years old. The rise of Butterbean. Before being referred to as the King of the Four Rounders, Butterbean, who uses Eric Esch as his birth name, grew up with a rough beginning. Born in Atlanta, Georgia, he traveled from place to place during his childhood. When he was only 4 years of age, his family relocated to St. John's, Michigan. Afterwards, when he was 11 years old, they relocated again to Jasper, Alabama. His childhood was not simple. He lost his mom when he was just 8, and that loss was a crushing blow to him. To add to it, he was bullied at school due to his weight, which made things even tougher growing up. As a teenager, Butterbean worked in a mobile home factory in Addison, Alabama. One day, some of his co-workers challenged him to fight a Toughman contest, a type of amateur boxing tournament for novices. With minimal training, Butterbean entered the ring, and he won. That victory stirred something within him. He soon started training seriously, including training time in Bay City, Michigan. And like that, a fighting career had begun. He got his start in the early 1990s competing in the Toughman contest circuit in Texarkana, Arkansas, and later became a 5-time World Toughman heavyweight champion, racking up a record of 56 victories and only 5 losses, including 36 victories by knockout. His nickname, Butterbean, resulted from being placed on a diet to achieve the 400-pound limit. He was eating a lot of chicken and butter beans, and the name just kind of stuck. Butterbean went professional officially on October 15, 1994, and won his first fight in Birmingham, Alabama. Before long, he was a national phenomenon. Believe it or not, his second professional fight was already being broadcast nationwide, something nearly unheard of in the sport of boxing. Even stars such as Mike Tyson had to fight several fights before they were featured on TV. But Butterbean, he was an instant sensation. His bouts were thrilling, frequently ending in knockouts, and fans adored his distinctive appearance and personality. After that, almost all of Butterbean's bouts were broadcast. He became a sort of cult figure in the world of boxing, particularly among fans who enjoyed action-packed, no-holds-barred fights. He had a run of victories, most by knockout, before he lost in 1995 to Mitchell Rose. That bout caused some controversy, as Rose later alleged that he was offered to lose on purpose, something that was never adequately substantiated. Nevertheless, Butterbean recovered, remaining unbeaten in 51 consecutive fights afterwards, although some of the decisions were deemed controversial by some boxing enthusiasts. In this period, Butterbean defeated Peter McNeely, who had previously encountered Mike Tyson, and emerged victorious. Even though he never defeated any of the top heavyweight prospects from big organizations such as the WBA or WBC, his promoter, Bob Arum, devised a brilliant way to award him a title. The International Boxing Association invented a special super heavyweight belt solely for Butterbean to market him as the King of the Four Rounders. He successfully defended that belt 6 times until 2000. Finally, his streak was broken in 2001 with a tight loss to Billy Zumbrun. In 2002, Butterbean competed against former heavyweight champion Larry Holmes in his debut 10-round bout. Holmes emerged victorious, but Butterbean put up a good fight, even registering a knockdown in the last round, although later revealed to be merely a slip. Butterbean may never have been an old-school champ, but he had entertaining fights, ones that were memorable and full of heart. That's what led him to truly be a favorite among fans. From knockouts to tapouts, after establishing himself in boxing, Butterbean decided to venture into something new: kickboxing. In 2003, he signed up with the popular K1 fighting league in Japan His first fight was impressive. He knocked out Yusuke Fujimoto in the first round. K1 was impressed and wanted to arrange a fight between Butterbean and legendary fighter Ernesto Hoost. But Butterbean's friend cautioned him that Hoost was much too experienced in kickboxing, so he sensibly declined the fight. Instead, he engaged Mike Bernardo later that year. It didn't end well. Bernardo knocked him down with low kicks in the first round and completed him with a high kick in the second. Butterbean also entered the arena of mixed martial arts, MMA. He faced Genki Sudo in his first MMA bout on New Year's Eve of 2003. Despite weighing 240 pounds more than Butterbean, he could not land anything. Sudo dodged punches and brought him to the ground, submitting him with a leg lock in the second round. He came back to kickboxing in 2004, but it wasn't easy. He lost to Hiromi Amada by decision after spending the majority of the fight taunting rather than fighting. Butterbean was also scheduled to fight Bob Sapp, but claims Sapp's team pulled out after seeing how badly Amada was injured. He continued to lose, including a fight against 6'11" Montana Silva. In 2005, Butterbean finally picked up again. He competed in a K1 tournament in Hawaii and took a hard fight against Marcus Royster. During the bout, however, he hurt his leg and could no longer continue, so Royster was reintroduced into the tournament. Butterbean enjoyed himself too in professional wrestling. He debuted with WWE, WWF at the time, back in 1997 by defeating Mark Marrow by disqualification. His highlight wrestling moment in 1999 at WrestleMania 4 occurred when he knocked out Bart Gunn in only 34 seconds. That bout was an actual fight, not one staged. In 2009, he came back to the world of wrestling on the independent circuit. He took the Pro Wrestling Syndicate Heavyweight Championship and even partnered with Brutus the Barber Beefcake for a charity show that was taped for his reality series, Big Law, Deputy Butterbean. He continued to wrestle until 2012 when he had a bout in Guyana and defeated Cliff Compton. Although his MMA debut was tough, Butterbean didn't give up. He won 6 of his subsequent 7 MMA bouts. In 2006, he defeated Wesley Cabbage Carrera in a special rules bout in Hawaii. Then, he went back to Japan to compete in the Pride Fighting Championships. He battled Ikuhisa Minowa, a smaller but talented fighter, and lost by submission. Butterbean was supposed to fight big-name fighter Mark Hunt in Las Vegas, but the Nevada Athletic Commission blocked the fight, saying Hunt was too good. Instead, pro wrestler Sean O'Hare stepped in, and Butterbean knocked him out in under 30 seconds. Later that year, he fought in England but lost to Rob Broughton. He bounced back by knocking out James Thompson in just 43 seconds. Butterbean's last Pride fight was in 2007. He fought Zuluzinho, who was equally heavy but significantly taller. After exchanging punches, Butterbean climbed on top, delivered heavy punches, and won the bout by submission. From boxing rings to wrestling bouts to MMA cages, Butterbean showed he wasn't afraid to enter any ring, the Ed White knockout. One of the craziest and most memorable instances in Butterbean's boxing life occurred in April 1997. He was facing a much taller opponent by the name of Ed White for the IBA Super Heavyweight title. Now, Butterbean was not a short fellow by any stretch, but in comparison to Ed White, he appeared to be nearly short and stumpy. White had a 7-inch height disadvantage and a longer reach, roughly 4 inches more. Most viewers probably thought Butterbean didn't have a chance, but they didn't know whom they were working with. The moment the bell sounded, Butterbean went into action, swinging with his trademark power-fisted punches. He didn't mind the height difference. Far from stepping back, he went in headfirst, firing overhand punches that made every viewer cringe. Butterbean didn't merely hit hard, he hit intelligently. Then came the punch nobody expected. In the second round, Butterbean delivered a monster uppercut that hit just right. Ed White didn't stumble. He flew backwards and got knocked out through the ropes. Yes, that's correct. His massive frame crashed straight out of the ring and everybody went crazy. Even the referee had had enough. The bout was halted then and there. That knockout became one of Butterbean's most legendary knockouts. It wasn't merely a victory. It was a lesson that being big does not always equate to being better. Butterbean demonstrated that heart, power, and confidence can knock out even the most menacing-looking foes. This win wasn't merely a statistic on his record. This gave Butterbean the IBA Super Heavyweight title and placed him in boxing history as the man who could knock giants off their feet, literally. It's bouts like this that explain why Butterbean was more than a novelty attraction. He was an actual fighter with actual abilities and moments that will never be forgotten. Butterbean's life beyond the ring, Eric Butterbean Esch, didn't merely knock individuals out in the ring. He had more than enough opportunities to remain in the limelight after leaving his boxing and MMA careers behind. One of the more surprising career reversals? Law enforcement. Butterbean was also a reserve deputy sheriff in his native Jasper, Alabama. That alone is quite unexpected, but it gets better. In 2011, he was the star of his reality television show, Big Law, Deputy Butterbean, on Investigation Discovery. The program tracked him as he assisted in actual drug arrests in his community. At first, producers wanted to do a reality show on his restaurant, but Butterbean had already made up his mind to shut it down. Instead, he proposed something more thrilling. Why not come film us making drug busts with the sheriff's department? And they agreed. The show gave people a real look into law enforcement. Butterbean said the goal was to clean up the streets and encourage locals to speak up and help police catch criminals. He wanted the show to inspire people to care more about their neighborhoods. Unfortunately, even though the show was interesting and unique, it didn't get picked up for a second season. But that did not prevent Butterbean from appearing elsewhere in pop culture. One of his most notorious cameos was in Jackass, the movie. During a crazy department store stunt, he battled it out with Johnny Knoxville. Let's just say Knoxville didn't fare too well. He got knocked out flat, slammed to the floor, and had stitches put into his head. Knoxville later quipped that Butterbean was nice in real life, despite looking horrifying in the ring. Butterbean also made minor appearances in other films. In Chairman of the Board, he was a security guard with a humorous Chia Pet haircut. Comedian Carrot Top even referenced Butterbean's role in the DVD commentary. He appeared on various television shows as well. He sang the national anthem in a humorous scene on Adult Swim's Squidbillies, where he ended up punching a guy for not taking off his hat. He signed up for Hulk Hogan's Celebrity Championship Wrestling on Team Beefcake and was even referenced in an episode of NBC's Parenthood. In 2013, he conducted a sit-down interview on Australia's Monday Nights with Matty Johns, demonstrating that his popularity extended far beyond the US in a sketch in 2015 for True TV's Friends of the People. Butterbean played Dr. Butterbean, employing his boxing skills within a hospital as an anesthesiologist. And naturally, this meant he knocked individuals out to assist with surgeries. It was ridiculous, but demonstrated how people enjoy watching him blend humor and toughness. In 2022, he appeared on Celebrity Family Feud as a member of the Jackass team, competing against Johnny Knoxville's team. And in early 2024, Butterbean appeared on the cast of Moonshiners on the Discovery Channel, filling in to assist moonshiner Josh Owens after a severe motorcycle accident. Yes, from brawling to moonshine, Butterbean does it all. He even ventured into radio. In 2005, he battled against a radio celebrity by the name of Dieter in Cleveland. The encounter went by the name War on the Shore, and fans greatly enjoyed it. And don't forget video games. In 1995, he was featured on the cover of the EA Sports video game Toughman Contest and was the final boss in the game. He also made a few appearances in various Knockout Kings games and was a playable fighter in Fight Night Champion. Even the Witcher video game had a bar fighter who bore a suspicious resemblance to Butterbean, named Butterbean. From actual on-the-streets drug busts to cold-cocking celebrities and laughing people, Butterbean cashed in on his fame for a roller coaster ride of life filled with bizarre adventures. The time Butterbean accidentally knocked out a referee. You know Butterbean, big fella, good puncher, always up for a scrap. But even the toughest of fighters have crazy moments they never intended to create. One of those moments is still ingrained in my memory from a 1995 bout against a fighter named Pat Jackson. Butterbean was doing what he does best, chucking heavy punches and taking over the ring. He was so engaged with the fight that he didn't even hear the bell ring to end the round. That's when things took an unexpected turn. Referee Terry Wood intervened to stand between the combatants, merely carrying out his duty. But Butterbean, still in the heat of the fight, didn't know the round was already over. He turned and innocently delivered a massive right hook, right into the face of the ref. Bam! The blow sent the ref stumbling onto the canvas like another fighter. The entire arena was stunned. Butterbean just knocked out the referee accidentally. Fortunately, the ref wasn't badly injured, but it certainly took a few minutes for everybody to figure out what had just occurred. Butterbean immediately realized he did something wrong and offered an apology. You could sense he felt terrible. It was an accident. Although it wasn't intentional, that moment ended up being one of the most buzzed-about moments of Butterbean's career. It highlighted just how tremendous his punches were and how intense he became in the ring, sometimes perhaps a bit too intense. Fans still laugh about the incident today, and it's brought up in interviews and highlight reels all the time. It's a perfect example of how unpredictable and wild the world of boxing can be. One minute, you're throwing punches at your opponent, and the next, you've accidentally flattened the referee. Butterbean's career was full of big hits and bigger surprises, and this one tops the list. Butterbean's fast and furious knockout against Louis Monaco. If you ever wanted to watch a boxing fight where one man dominated start to finish, look no further than Butterbean's bout against Louis Monaco in December of 1995. It wasn't merely a victory. It was one of the most astounding knockouts of his whole career. Butterbean was in tip-top condition at the time, tipping the scales at a career-light 300 pounds, and you could tell he was serious business the moment the bell rang. Monaco had hardly finished blinking when Butterbean's thunderous right hand was swooshing through the air toward him. Boom! Monaco was on the canvas in the first 3 seconds. Yes, 3 seconds. It may have been one of the quickest knockdowns ever witnessed in the ring. But Monaco wasn't ready to quit yet. He got up again and attempted to resume the fight. That didn't last long either. Butterbean charged in once more, landing another solid punch that knocked Monaco down for the second time. The crowd was already standing, watching in amazement at how fast things were going. Then was the last moment. With his characteristic overhand right, Butterbean added one more devastating punch that put Monaco out cold. The ref waved it off, and suddenly, it was all over. What added to the ferocity of this bout was how sudden and ruthless it all transpired. Butterbean wasted no time or effort. He came at Monaco with knockout intent from the get-go. Monaco never got an opportunity to strike back. This fight illustrated just how deadly Butterbean was when in his prime. It wasn't only a matter of size and intimidation. He had actual power and could finish fights in 2 seconds flat. Fans still rave about this one as one of his greatest wins. And quite frankly, it's simple to understand why. The Joe Siciliano fight. Every great boxer has that one final fight that closes out their career, and for Butterbean, it was in March 2007. After years of thrilling fans with his knockouts and larger-than-life personality, he got into the ring one final time against Joe Siciliano and made sure to go out with a bang. Joe Siciliano was no ordinary foe. He was a tough man himself, being a veteran police officer. But as soon as the bell sounded, It was apparent this bout was going to be all Butterbean. From the beginning, Butterbean had it in his pocket. He wasted no time at all. With his typical power and aggression, he began throwing heavy punches that sent Siciliano to the mat more than once. Siciliano attempted to continue, but the punches of Butterbean were just too intense. The bout never got beyond the second round. Butterbean recorded a second-round stoppage, and the referee intervened to signal the end of the fight. That was it. Another victory posted on Butterbean's resume. But this was not any victory. It was his last professional boxing victory, and it put his overall total at a whopping 77 wins from 91 fights, with a massive portion of those being by knockout. To finish on a win made the moment all the more special for him and his supporters. Following the battle, Butterbean didn't have to do anything else to prove himself. He was established as one of the most exciting and toughest boxers out there. His fights were brief, crazy, and unforgettable. And this final fight with Joe Siciliano was no exception. Ending on a victory was the best way for Butterbean to put a curtain call to a crazy and memorable boxing career. The current health crisis. Contrary to some rumors circulating on the internet, Butterbean is not in critical condition. The reality, however, is both sad and uplifting. Butterbean has struggled with serious health issues over the last few years, but he's been fighting back hard with the assistance of a healthier lifestyle and a great deal of personal willpower. For some time following his retirement from boxing, Butterbean's health declined. He put on a great deal of weight, weighing more than 500 pounds, and was experiencing chronic pain. He reported that his body ached so severely that even walking short distances was almost impossible. At one time, he even required a wheelchair to move around, and he reported feeling stuck, physically and mentally. Things became so difficult that he refused to make public appearances, such as his induction into the Alabama Boxing Hall of Fame, because he didn't want others to catch him in this state. That rock bottom hit him hard. He said once in an interview, "I was just tired of being sick and tired." But rather than giving up, Butterbean wanted to fight back, this time outside of the ring. In 2022, he partnered with Diamond Dallas Page, a retired pro wrestler who became famous for transforming the lives of others using fitness. With DDP's assistance, Butterbean began working on the DDP yoga program, a specialized exercise and health regimen. He also improved his diet, moving to a low-carb, high-protein diet and eliminating gluten and dairy products. Gradually but surely, the weight began falling off, and he began to feel like himself once more. Butterbean lost nearly 200 pounds over the years. Today he weighs slightly more than 300 pounds, the lightest he's been in years. But aside from the weight, what's more astounding is how much healthier he is. He walks again, moves without pain, and smiles during every interview he gives. He's also feeling fired up again. Butterbean said he's feeling the best I've felt in 20 years. He even joked about getting back in the ring and has called out Jake Paul for a boxing match. While that fight hasn't happened, the fact that Butterbean is even thinking about stepping back in the ring shows how far he's come. There's more. In 2025, Butterbean is set to return to pro wrestling. He'll be facing Minoru Suzuki at WrestleCon in Las Vegas. This is big news for fans who grew up watching him, and it shows that Butterbean isn't sitting on the sidelines anymore, so even though his health emergency was most certainly real, the notion that he's now in critical condition is not. To the contrary, Butterbean is penning a new chapter in his life, one of recuperation, tenacity, and perhaps even a little vengeance in the ring. With all that he's endured, his story reminds us all that it's never too late to come back. Behind the glory and the knockouts, Butterbean struggled with major personal issues that affected his health and frame of mind. Since retiring from boxing in 2013, Butterbean's health has deteriorated. He put on a lot of weight, reaching more than 500 pounds. This excess weight resulted in extreme mobility problems, and he had to use a wheelchair to get around. The physical challenges were intimidating, But the psychological effect was even deeper. In frank interviews, Butterbean spoke of his battles with depression during this time. He spoke of feeling despondent and unsure about his future. During one interview, he explained, "I went through a period where I was contemplating the end of my life. Not that I was going to take my own life, but in my life, I was down. I was way over my weight and just feeling low. I didn't know whether I had 2 years to live or not." He decided to change his life and got help, embarking on a life-changing process. He joined forces with ex-professional wrestler Diamond Dallas Page and incorporated the DDP yoga program into his life. This program included yoga, rehab exercises, and eating healthily. As part of the program, Butterbean started following a gluten and dairy-free diet and opted for low-carb, high-protein foods. The outcome was staggering. In time, Butterbean shed more than 200 pounds, reducing his weight to around 303 pounds, the lowest he had been in years. The weight loss benefited not only his physical health, but also his mental state. He regained some mobility, no longer relied on a wheelchair, and started feeling much more hopeful about his future. Butterbean's makeover rekindled his love for life and even brought about ideas of going back to the ring. He was interested in going up against contemporary fighters, displaying his new energy and drive. Although a comeback bout has not yet materialized, the fact that he is contemplating it says a lot about his rehabilitation. His transformation from a state of despair to renewed energy is an inspiration to all. Butterbean's frankness about his issues and his willingness to change exemplify the need to address physical as well as mental well-being. Presently, Butterbean still speaks out about his ordeal in the hope of inspiring others who may be struggling. His determination and strength remind us all that with the proper help and attitude, adversity can be overcome. The toll of boxing. Boxing might appear to be thrilling and action-packed, but hidden behind the spotlight and deafening cheers, it's a sport that extracts a heavy price on the body and the mind. For most combatants, including renowned Butterbean, the devastation does not cease when the gloves are removed. Long after retirement, the permanent impact of boxing continues to be realized. Butterbean is most famous for his devastating knockouts and larger-than-life personality in the ring. But these days, in his older age, he's been candid about the hardships he's enduring. He's spoken about coping with brain trauma, severe weight issues, and mental health concerns that plagued him long after he hung up his fighting gloves. At one point, he even reported feeling like he was dying. That's how bad it became. His health didn't worsen overnight. As is often the case with fighters, Butterbean accumulated a lot of headshots during his career. Such repeated trauma has been shown to cause a condition called chronic traumatic encephalopathy, or CTE. It is a brain disorder brought on by repeated blows to the head, and it's been diagnosed in many retired boxers and football players. Its symptoms can range from memory loss to mood swings, depression, and confusion. Besides the brain injuries, Butterbean had difficulty with obesity. Post-retirement, with not the same training and structure, his weight went through the roof. That made all of it more difficult. Trying to move around, breathe, and simply enjoy life daily. He had to have a dramatic weight loss surgery to reverse it. Butterbean is not alone in being damaged in this manner. Other heavyweight competitors have reported the same. Muhammad Ali, to take an example, had Parkinson's disease in his later years, something that most people associate with the number of punches he absorbed throughout his career. Mike Tyson has also been candid about his struggles with mental illness, such as depression and post-retirement drug use. These stories show a clear pattern. While boxing can bring fame and fortune, it often leaves behind deep scars. Fighters are lauded for their toughness, but that same toughness can cause them to neglect injuries and push through pain. And over time, that adds up, and the results can be heartbreaking. Butterbean's experience has served to highlight this problem. He has talked openly about his efforts to get better, to raise awareness, and to inform other fighters of the dangers. He's also been focused on getting healthy, losing weight, and finding happiness beyond the ring. It's not simple, but his experience shows that there is life after boxing despite the difficulties. More fighters and physicians are now advocating for reforms in the sport, such as improved safety regulations, additional brain scans, and assistance for fighters after they retire. Because it's obvious that boxing doesn't necessarily end when the last bell tolls. The effects can last a lifetime. Butterbean's power wasn't in his fists. It's in his candor about the cost he paid.